We just got a letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. I wonder who it's from.
Happy Mailbag Day, everybody. Welcome into the PHNX Suns podcast. I'm Lindsay. Saul's a big lame, and that's Espo. And we're going to have some fun today. Why don't you want to sing with us, Saul?
I don't know that song.
Mike.
How do you not know that song? It's literally the easiest song outside of like the happy birthday song ever in existence.
But Blue's Clues was after me.
Yeah, but
what about
I literally
your kids?
just sang it in front of you, and it's three.
My kids were like
three words.
into like watching movies like Get Rich or Die Trying. Man.
There's
fuck with Blue's Clues.
no chance your 2-year-old was watching Get Rich or Die Trying.
Ask Alex what movie he saw when he was 5.
Explains so much.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, we are going to answer a bunch of y'all's questions today. If you do have an additional question you'd like us to answer, put it in the chat and we'll try and get to that as well. But we asked the diehards in the Discord and we opened it up to Twitter as well. And we have quite a few questions to get to today. So would you guys like to just dive right in?
Sure.
They called you old in the chat, so.
Well, they also said I was already over it and I am embarrassed to be here. This is all true. All
Is it? You're old, over it, and embarrassed of us?
Yeah. First of all, I'm not even close to 50, so let's just pipe down there.
Hold on.
Hello.
And embarrassed by us. I mean, that's every day, though.
I think
each one of us is embarrassed
I
to
feel
be
like
here.
we rotate pretty often as far as who is being embarrassed and who is doing the embarrassing thing, right?
True.
Are you the embarrasser or the embarrassee?
Yes. Today you're embarrassed, and that's okay.
I'm the
But tomorrow
embarrassee.
I will likely be embarrassed. It's mailbag time. We'll start with this one from Ironhide.
It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
It's not Monday, damn it.
Ironhide said, I know this will depend on matchups and whatnot, but who do you think will get the 5th starter spot? And what's your own personal 5 off the bench?
Ooh, all right. Coming out hot. I will say I think the 5th starter is going to end up being KBD.
Okay.
I think the 5 off the bench, in no particular order, obviously Eric Gordon, Josh Okogie, then you have Drew Eubanks, and then you will have Yuta, and I'm going to throw in a curveball and just say Bol Bol's going to find himself in the rotation as a 4.
Okay. Espo?
I said it yesterday. I think Josh Okogie starts the season as the 5 or as the 5th starter. I don't know that he finishes it, and I still think Eric Gordon finishes games with the 4 main pieces. But for me, the bench is Jordan Goodwin, Eric Gordon, Yuta, Drew Eubanks at center. I'm forgetting. And then KBD would be in there because I left him out.
I was
of the,
really hoping you were going to leave out KBD. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
You went from the starting rotation of mine to not even on the 5th.
No, I think that's the way it'll net out at some point is they'll go that way with Okogie in the starting lineup.
I'm with you. I still think Josh Okogie starts as the 5th starter for this season. I think KBD, there's a high possibility he wins it out. And then when that happens, I don't think, does it make sense? Because we've talked about this before, Jordan Goodwin and Josh Okogie coming off the bench together. Does that make sense? Or do you have to kind of rotate that based on one of those two who's having the better stretch at that point?
Well, at that point, are you going to KBD's a little bit bigger than Josh Okogie, if I'm remembering.
He's a lot
correctly.
bigger.
So that's the other part of this to me is the bench makes more sense with KBD as a 3 in it, because if Josh Okogie moves to the bench, I don't think they want to not have Jordan Goodwin in that bench rotation. Eric Gordon's going to be there. You can't play Josh Okogie at the 3.
What about Damian Lee? Does Damian Lee get any?
He's not. He's a 2
consistent
though.
Run here?
Like, I get positionless basketball, but you still need size at some point. And I think you give up a lot of size if you have some combination of Josh Okogie, Eric Gordon, Jordan Goodwin, Damian Lee. Like, it's a lot of 1s and 2s at that point.
I still want to see more from Jordan Goodwin first before I start putting him in even in that second group of 5. I know a lot of people like him, and he played. He was decent in the one game in summer league where he was able to play. He's actually very good, but I want to see it in the season. I need to see that before I'm like, okay, yeah, he's for sure going to be the backup. It's just there's still a lot left to decide. So I'm just going with the things that I think are kind of unknown to a certain degree.
Can I address something? It's Zone in Arizona says JaVale McGee will be the starting 5. Look, I get that JaVale was just waived and stretched by Dallas. JaVale McGee is not coming back here. You have your starting center, you have your backup center, and I don't give a shit about vibes. Let me make that very clear. I don't care if you're a good locker room guy that dances and has fun. JaVale McGee's not that guy. Can we just stop with that already?
I mean, I care about vibes.
Not his vibes. I don't care about those vibes. I think it was way overrated in that 64-win season.
Why are you so hyped up about that?
Because Twitter's like, well, you got to go after JaVale McGee. And I'm like, why? Why do you got to go after JaVale McGee? You have your roster set. Like, I'm not cutting an Ish Wainwright. I'm not cutting a bull to go get JaVale McGee. I want to see what those guys can do. And I don't think JaVale McGee adds all that much. There's a reason Dallas is waving and stretching him for freaking Markieff Morris.
I agree with you that we don't have any business going after JaVale McGee at this point. But I do also see on the flip side how people attach themselves to players and they just want them to come back and hang out.
Nobody rides a fence like Lindsey Smith.
Well, because I fully understand both sides. I don't think that we should go after JaVale. I enjoyed JaVale when he was here, though. Had a great time. It was a blast watching them all dance and do goofy shit before they started games.
But all the guys that were dancing in those videos are gone.
I mean, DA's still here.
Yeah, but DA ain't even vibing with that. Not right now. He's out to prove the world wrong.
This is facts.
I love hello. Excuse me, but his per 36.
Will Capitan said his bench or their bench would be Gordon, Lee, Okogie, Yuta, and Eubanks. And then Mark in the chat said, is Tumani getting minutes? Tumani Kamara, probably not a ton, if I had to take a guess. It would probably be more when we have garbage time minutes available. In blowouts, we'd probably see that more often than not. I don't anticipate seeing, he might blow us away and come out of the gates having worked on a ton of stuff. He is an older rookie. But I don't anticipate Tumani Kamara being a game changer for the team this year.
No, I don't think so either. I would say that Tumani is probably, listen, his only shot is that, first of all, he's impressive in training camp to afford some of those minutes early on, and he starts to develop his game and be an obvious asset to what they're trying to do. You've got to overcome some people on that roster in order to get a spot. Who are you going to overcome? Is it going to be KBD? Is it going to be, Shemezi Metu? Is it going to be, another 3 or 4 that you're trying to overcome? Like, who is that guy going to be? So again, I would say this: he has as good a shot to make an impression and get some minutes as anybody in that second 5, and even the third 5. But it's quite a bit of an uphill battle because if I could point to any one thing, the outside shooting is going to have to be consistent for him to see the floor in this offense, because you've got a lot of guys that can score at various different levels. And one of the weaknesses of this team in the past was their lack of outside shooting. And if you have another guy that's just basically a board crasher, a slasher, and doesn't really do anything else too great, then he becomes a detriment to a certain degree. So if he can show that he can hit the outside shot, which I know he's working on, he's been working on it feverishly, then maybe he'll find some minutes.
I think it would take a KBD injury for you to turn to Tumani Kamara at some point and get him in that bench rotation, potentially. Even in your situation where he starts, KBD got hurt, you'd move Josh Okogie up, and then there'd be that bench opening. I think that's where Tumani would get an opportunity. It would be probably him or Chemezi at that point. And I believe more that Tumani fits what they're trying to accomplish more. But you're right. It's going to come down to, can he hit that three on a consistent basis? If he can't, you're going to be tied to the bench.
Yep.
All right. Bumbling for KD said, aside from the Nuggets, who would be the toughest matchup in a playoff series in the West? For Bumbling for KD, it's the Warriors. They want no part of facing Steph Curry.
I would go with where are your weakest spots? And I think right now, because of the inconsistency of DEA, your weakest spot would be in the front court. And for that reason alone, I would go with the Lakers. If we're not talking about the Nuggets, then I definitely would be going to the Lakers, because AD, when healthy, is one of the best players in the NBA, and he can give you all types of problems. He did so against the Suns in that series in 2021 until he took a misstep and pulled his groin, and that was it for him. So, but he in game 2 he dropped I think it was like 36 or 37 against him. Like, he's a very, very good player, and he will give you a lot of fits. And I'm going to suspect that the Lakers are going to be more focused at building their future around him as opposed to LeBron, just because of age. So I would say the Lakers would be the more difficult of those.
Yeah, and they just signed the extension, so that makes a lot of sense. For me, it's either one of the LA teams, but I think if healthy, and I lean a little bit more towards the Clippers, because we've seen that group does not mind mucking it up and getting physical and trying to knock guys off their game. And if PG and Kawhi are healthy and they lock in, there's not a better defensive duo that I think you're going to face in the West, which, granted, you're not going to be able to take away all three guys, but if you make it tough for Book and KD out there on the court at times, that leaves it to Bradley Beal and DeAndre Ayton, and your chances to win are a lot better than I think some of these Western Conference teams who aren't going to have the defensive abilities that I think a healthy Clippers team has there. And then honestly, the Pelicans, if Zion's healthy,
So
they
much
scare me
dependent
too.
on health, though, with both of
but
those teams.
that's the whole
teams.
West,
I mean, yeah.
think.
The crazy part about that is that I think it was, and you don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure Anthony Davis has missed less time, even though we make fun of him all the time for being always injured.
Mm-hmm.
He's missed less time than both Kawhi and Paul George. And so for as much as we criticize AD for never being healthy, those two are even worse.
Right.
They're never on the court, and hell, even when they look like they're healthy, some random fluke injury takes them out. And that's what happened with Kawhi last year. We still can't even see where the hell he got injured, but next thing you know, he's out for the series. So, and PG is always and even when PG's there, you just know that if we had to face him in the playoffs, he wouldn't show up, because he never fucking does.
Well, look across the West. Lakers, injuries. Clippers, injuries. Denver up until last year, injuries. Dallas with Kyrie and Luka to an extent, injuries. New Orleans,
Suns.
Injury.
You
the
can't
Suns,
even count us out of that one either.
I mean, the entire Western Conference hinges on the medical staffs as much as it does the play on the court as well. So that's what makes this tough to predict in the West, is one injury to any of these teams that have had multiple injuries over the last few years will change the entire balance of power in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
Jose, I hope your dog is better. That's sad.
Sending you
Sorry
all the
about
love
it.
and good vibes. I will still agree with Bumbling for KD. The Warriors are in the conversation as far as that, because I just don't think that you can always count the Warriors out.
No.
I'm still very curious about the whole Chris Paul situation and how that shapes up. I mean, we did see Chris Paul talking about how they still haven't had any conversations about what that's going to look like. We got to wait till training camp, all that stuff. I don't know if that's true or if it's him just playing politics like he does. It's going to be interesting, though.
I don't want to read the tea leaves.
But
However, I'm sorry. Steph Curry coming out and saying that he's the best point guard of all time. And I saw the clip, and I actually watched the whole episode yesterday. It was fantastic. If you haven't had a chance, you should go check out Gil's Arena and Steph Curry, and it was just awesome. But, it was basically either him or Magic is what the discussion was. But you literally have, a guy on your own team that is a point guard, and he's a legendary point guard. And yeah, I mean, that's something. I don't think Chris Paul's going down and losing his starting nod without a fight. And I don't know if the Warriors are really going to be like, yeah, we'll give Chris what he wants, because I just don't see it. I don't see it at all. I really don't.
It'll
I just
be
don't understand that whole thing at all.
That's for sure.
Good. I want the chaos. I want the Chris Paul curse, whatever the case may be.
As if they didn't have enough chaos and drama on their team last year.
Take it all, because the more that's happening with a potential Western Conference contender, the better for the Suns. I'm all for it.
Do you guys not think he just wants to do anything to win a ring at this point, though?
Who? Chris Paul?
I think it's a 50-50 split. I think he's conflicted internally about it. Yeah. Because while yes, winning a ring is so important, if he takes a back seat in that capacity and wins a ring, is that also a stain on your resume in and of itself?
Yeah.
Will people do the exact same thing to him that they've done to Kevin Durant? Well, only reason you won a ring is because you went to the Warriors and teamed up with Steph Curry. You couldn't do it on your own, blah, 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 blah.
But go be on the bench, win Sixth Man of the Year, win a title. Everybody's like, Chris Paul's so selfless.
They're not going to say that, though.
No, I think they will, because he took a step back.
It's Chris Paul. They're not going to say that about Chris Paul, even if they
kids
should.
Are getting bullied right now because he can't win a ring. I don't think they would say anything nice about it.
They're not going to be nice to him just because it is like, it's Chris Paul. They're not going to be nice.
Couple things. We're going to talk about the Steph Curry point guard stuff tomorrow, but we're not going to cover it today. Thursday. So we're not going to talk about it today, but we will get to it this week. And Blaze, I agree with you. And then, Chris Paul takes a back seat to no one. I'm sorry. If it's, he's going to have to start, and he's going to have to be effective. And more importantly, he's going to have to stay healthy in the playoffs for people to stop talking about him in the playoffs and choking. Like, if he's going to win a ring, then all those things are going to have to fall in line. But I just don't see the Warriors. To me, I know Steph, I know Clay, like I know Draymond in the aura of the Warriors, but I do feel like they're on the back hill slide of this. And I feel like their last championship against the Celtics was probably it, unless they add a significant piece moving forward. And Chris Paul was not that significant piece.
All right. An Abnormal Suns fan said, in y'all's opinion, will Devin Booker be in the MVP conversation this season? And do you think KD will be there too?
100%.
I would be surprised if neither of them were.
100%. Devin Booker will be in the conversation. We saw what he did in the playoffs last year, and he has 37 opportunities to play in front of the national audience this year. So East Coast bias, yada, yada, they're going to be front and center with the whole NBA. If he plays the way we know he can, and this team plays to the level that we think they can, Devin Booker will be in that top 5 MVP conversation again, just like a few years ago. And I think this time he's going to be right up there towards the top of it, not just sneaking into the conversation late in the season.
Yeah, I agree. I think Devin Booker will be there in the conversation to begin the season, and he'll stay there. I think I very much think that he has a legitimate chance this year because first of all, he's going to be the face of this franchise. He's going to be the face of everything moving forward. I know Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant, but Book is Book, and Book here in Phoenix is what it's all about. And he's the leader of that team, no matter which way you slice it. And so I definitely think that Devin Booker will be in the MVP conversation. He's the key for him, because it's always the key for superstars, is you got to play big when you're playing against the big time players on national TV in those prime time games. Like, playing on national TV is cute and all, but when you're playing on national TV against the Warriors, against the Bucks, against those teams, and you show out, that's what sets you apart from everybody else. Playing on national TV against the Mavericks, it's like, okay, whatever. But it's those primetime games against the best of the best that you really got to show out. And if he does that, he's going to be right there at the end. 2
other games, I think, that if they make it to that semifinal and final in the midseason tournament and he dominates, those will be touch points that people will remember as well. So I think he's going to have multiple opportunities to have those moments this year, where a few years ago, on the national stage, they weren't there as much. He's the real deal this year. We've seen him evolve every step of the way, and I think this will be the finest moment of his career here.
This might me just being a negative Nancy right here.
Wow. All right.
But I'm concerned that the exact same narrative that happened the year the Suns went to the finals, or was it the 60? It was actually probably both season.
The finals year was when they split
I know.
consideration.
Was that most of it, the finals year? That was the biggest one. That it was split 50-50 on who deserved more credit, Chris Paul or Devin Booker. I'm concerned there will be a conversation around that again this year.
I don't think it'll be nearly as bad unless Kevin Durant is like...
If he balls out, it's going to be just as bad.
1,000,000%. And if he balls out, then KD's going to be right there in the conversation too.
Yeah.
But the difference being, there's going to be a lot of times this year where you're going to see Point Book. And Point Book is going to be able to display how versatile he is and how important he is to that team. So not only will he drop 30, but he might have 10 or 15 assists to go along with it and 7 or 8 rebounds to go along with it. And if he does that consistently, Kevin Durant can drop 35 a game. But if he's not near triple-double territory the entire season, then that's I think, where they're going to go. Listen, both of them have just as equal a shot as the other to win an MVP this year, for sure, because you expect the Suns to be one of the best teams in the league. But it's going to be, again, if he steps up and does the things that we expect him to, he's going to be right there.
Well, and I think you bring up his distributing. I think the assists are going to be a big part of it because people are going to see him handling the ball a lot more like they did in the playoffs, where a few years ago they didn't see that. That was Chris Paul that was doing it in the 64-win season. That's where I think Devin could impress people where he hasn't before, is how he distributes to a KD and a Bradley Beal, makes their lives easier while still scoring at a high clip.
I also think that I think Devin Booker has a great opportunity for the casuals, let's just say, to finally get on board with him, because Devin Booker is not the Devin Booker from 2016, 17, 18, whatever. Like, Devin Booker plays defense. Devin Booker is a great facilitator. Devin Booker can score and is as efficient as any player in the league that's not a center. Like, and casual people will take a look and they're just like, oh, all he does is score. And they don't realize how many things Devin Booker does. They also don't understand the growth that Devin Booker has had throughout his career here in Phoenix. So
they also don't want to admit that they were wrong.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying, is that, like, no, we've been talking about this for a while now, though. No matter how much Devin adds to his game or grows or gets better in every facet of it, nobody wants to give him the credit where credit is due half the time because they don't want to admit that they were wrong.
They're going to have to.
They're
going to have to. Yeah, they're going to have to.
Or can they double down like they have already?
Listen, Devin Booker does not, if he wants an MVP and he really feels like he's right there, he's going to have that Mamba mentality and go fucking take it and not just play good enough with everybody else and hope that he gets the nod. No, he's got to show out, like, for sure. Like, oh, that's the dude. There is no question. That's the dude. And most MVPs outside of last year, most MVPs pretty much show you, like, there's nobody else really close. You know what I mean? Last year was a little bit different just because Embiid and Jokic, you can make an argument for either one of those two. And there's usually one or two, sure, but Devin Booker can't be one of like 8 dudes in the conversation because he will not get it.
No, he won't.
But if he's one of 2 or 3, then he's got a chance.
Maybe if he's one of 2, I'll give him that. But I think if he's not in the top 1 and 2, I don't know that they're gonna. I don't know.
I think. No offense, Lindsay, but you're wrong because
that's
2
fine.
years ago we saw
I
him,
hope that's the case.
We saw him go from not even in the conversation to moving all the way up to 4th with just what he did in the second half of a season. I don't think people are going to sit there and spite vote against him. What I do think could happen is if he and KD both have very good seasons, those people that have been less inclined to give Devin Booker credit vote for Kevin Durant, and that splits the vote like you were talking about. But funny enough, BetMGM has Kevin Durant at a plus 1,200 for MVP. Devin Booker is a plus 1,800. So they look at Kevin Durant odds-wise as the more likely to be favored for an MVP. What I'm saying. So, but look, I think they're trying to get the casuals money there because Kevin Durant is a very recognizable name that people think, oh yeah, KD could be MVP. Mm-hmm. Where in most general fans' minds that maybe are placing wagers right now, Devin Booker isn't that guy. But that's why you get in now at plus 1,800, because then you get a better payout when later in the year if it happens. Because as people start to notice him, this number gets smaller. It's a plus, 600 at some point, and you lose the opportunity to make some money there.
How would I make some money on that though?
What?
I don't
Sorry,
think.
I was trying to lead you into.
Oh, I was like, what? What are you doing?
I was trying to throw the alley to you, and you didn't even jump.
I just watched it.
You just watched it go out of bounds.
I was just watching. Sorry. You can make some money on that by putting a bet down on the BetMGM Sportsbook app. If you haven't signed up for the BetMGM Sportsbook app, now is a great time to do so you can get those really great odds. Make sure, though, that you are signing up with that bonus code PHNX. There's a few different offers depending on where you live, but for our Arizona audience, place your first bet offer and receive up to 1,000 back in bonus bets if it loses.
Can I give the people some advice about BetMGM?
Yes.
If you're wagering on something, make sure Johnny's not wagering it on as well, because he will
Johnny's
turn your bet into black licorice.
Kiss of death.
It is the worst. He bet on the Ravens last night, and they lost after winning 24 straight preseason games, and it's all Johnny's fault.
There you go. Don't take Johnny's bets. You can check out the show note for full details, and now you can listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Mississippi, New Jersey, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus to wager. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona, 1-800-522-4700 Nevada, 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa, 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help Michigan, 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico, in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Visit BetMGM.com for terms and conditions. U.S. promotional offers not available in D.C., Kansas, Nevada, New York, or Ontario.
Oh my God, you guys. Some of your comments are hilarious. That's fantastic. I'm really glad that I have an inner circle like you guys, that we can all have fun, poking fun at each other. If you want to expand your inner circle, I recommend adding Circle K to that inner circle. All you have to do is join their inner circle. It's free, by the way, by downloading the Circle K app today. What are the benefits of Circle K's inner circle, you ask? Well, it's free, like I mentioned, and you save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups. That's a big one, of course. And then you get every 6 free on selection of Circle K products like pizza, coffee, ice cold fountain drinks. The terms and conditions do apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. But again, make sure you download that app for free today and sign up to join Circle K's inner circle.
The circle of trust.
I feel like it's better perks than we get for being in Lindsay's inner circle.
It's definitely better perks than being in my inner circle.
I get crap from you for being in your inner circle.
I don't think mine ever claimed to come with perks.
You know what you get for being in Lindsay's inner circle? Text unresponded to.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest perks.
Endless grief.
Yeah.
That as well.
I respond to certain things.
You get left on red.
Sometimes. I don't have red receipts on though, so that way I could definitely be like, I never saw it. I'm sorry. Even though I definitely saw it. It's my toxic trait. Anyway, moving on. We got this question from Benjamin. They said, which Ring of Honor member would help this current Suns team the most?
Ooh, I'm going to go with the easy out, and I'm going to say, it's not an easy out. I want to go Steve Nash because he's a sensible choice because this team doesn't have a point guard, quote unquote. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to go with Charles Barkley.
Okay.
Because we could use a 4 that was solid. You can move KD to the 3, and he would give you that edge and that grit and that I'm not taking your shit kind of mode. And I love it. And I think that would be great for this team.
Look, if I were to stretch it, maybe he's not technically in, but he's going in. Sean Marion's an intriguing one because he very much fits today's NBA. But for me, I think it would be Paul Westphal because there was not a more heady player than Westphal that understood things. I feel like he also helps fill that point guard hole that you feel like, especially in that second unit. So I think I'd lean towards Paul Westphal for multiple reasons, including his specific leadership that I think you lost a little bit with Chris Paul going away.
Saul's really mad because
I'm so
Shane is
salty.
producing our show today, and he just got a delivery of a delightful Thai
Boba.
tea with boba. And Saul's super jealous.
I'm super
Boba is
jealous.
so overrated. So
Dude.
overrated.
So there's a lot of options that I don't think there's many wrong answers here, but I decided to go with Dan Marley. Could you
There's a
imagine?
wrong answer. Sorry.
What?
Go ahead.
You don't like
Explain.
Dan Marley?
Oh no.
Why?
I don't think he would be a terrible fit for this team.
I think it would be fun though.
Why?
I think it would be a blast. The amount of shooting, because I do think, obviously, at his point in time, he finished his career 35.8% from three. But I think in this day and age, it could be maybe a little bit higher. Granted, you'd be even more of the conversation of like, well, there's only one ball. But we talk about that fifth starter just camping out in the corner, knocking down open threes. If Dan Marley's your fifth guy.
Yeah, but Dan Marley wasn't really a corner 3-point shooter.
But
That's
I
the
think he
problem.
could have been in this day and age.
He was more like from the hash mark.
I still think it could work. I don't know. I think it would be fun to see. And I think I like Dan Marley, the whole idea of naming the Hustle Award after Dan Marley. He had a little bit of that grit and edge to him. I think it would be fun. I feel like we would have a blast watching that squad.
I love that Lindsay just picked one of the two weakest members of the Ring of Honor.
You guys are such haters.
You're gonna tell
I
me-
still think
You
it
gonna
would
tell
be
me
fun.
Tom Chambers is the next guy you'd add to the
No.
roster?
If you could make sure that he would be okay in the role of just being a shooter, I don't hate that at all. Because that's almost too many cooks at this point if you add a guy that is so ball dominant.
I think it would be a blast. And I'm not talking about figuring out the personalities of all these guys, because you could also ask, is Charles Barkley going to fit on this team personality-wise? Is that way too many cooks in the kitchen then?
I didn't say Charles Barkley, so don't look this direction.
I'm just saying, I feel like that one could be a little bit questionable from a personality situation.
Triple B has an interesting choice in Walter Davis. I mean, he definitely fit with the guys that hit a lot of mid-range jumpers. That was Walter Davis's game, but he was a walking bucket. He was very smooth in what he did. That's interesting. He says he'd take him over Dan, but I can see where you're coming from. It's a 3-point game and a 3-and-D game, and that was what Dan was known for.
And also, I don't think Sean Murray and Amari Stoudemire count yet officially.
I agree.
I think you have to wait until they're officially in order to be able to choose them for this question. So I feel like those two are off the table for everyone picking them.
Listen, we're not picking on Lynn's, okay? Half-Life Heroes. We're not picking on her. We're just saying that her choice was bad. That's
I'm picking on her.
What's wrong with saying that? She says our choices are terrible all the time.
She has every right to be wrong.
Say it to her?
Yeah.
No, you can't. That's the rule.
Oh, really?
I thought we knew this. I thought you understood. That was the rule. Today is just my day, you guys. It's okay. We rotate. So tomorrow it might be Saul or it might be Espo. You never know. But we usually rotate. Anyway, next question from My Name is Fat Mike said, Eric Gordon has been balling out with clutch time shots for Bahamas. With Vogel's defensive mindset, do you think Gordon beats out one of the bigger guys for that fifth spot closing out games in the clutch?
Well, Espo's already been on record saying yes.
Yes.
That he thinks he'll be down the stretch. I think it's just going to depend on how he's doing in that game. It's definitely going to be case by case. I don't think you're going to see a situation where they just lock in and have Eric Gordon as guaranteed one of their 5 in the last 5 minutes of the game. I don't think it's going to be like that, because if he's not hot or if he's not really grooving, they're not going to put him in. They'll probably opt more for a defensive guy just to help out with KD, Beal, and Book. So you don't really need more offense out there. You need defense. And so I think it's going to be case by case, in my opinion.
I agree. I mean, I don't think that you could say for certain yes or no on this, just because, like you said, it's dependent on what's going on at that moment. But I would just prefer to not have a whole bunch of late close games like this.
Yeah.
That would be the best answer there, is if we didn't have a whole bunch of those.
Blaze Megatron, does it annoy anyone else that the perfect fifth starter for this team is still Mikal Bridges? Bro, yeah, it would be perfect. We would all love to have Mikal Bridges back and be the fifth starter, but dreaming is free.
How about Charles Coulter? This pod is giving me toughening up little sis vibes.
I will say I didn't realize like how much Big Brother vibes I was going to get from the three of you on this show. But I go back and I watch some of our clips where y'all are just like picking on me and being so bratty. And I'm damn, is this what it is like growing up with big brothers? Because if that's the case, thank God I missed that.
Isn't Gerald younger than you? Can he be your big brother?
Yeah, also, like, the amount of times, like, you absolutely just, like, jump on our head.
I got to. I'm fighting for my life over here.
Oh, what? Stop it. Oh, my. Is she really trying to, like, be a victim over here?
Just
Do you know how many times Gerald and her have been like, no, you guys are wrong. Wrong.
Hold on.
And then, like, fight to the death over it. And we just, like, give up and we're all, like, scared and over here in our corners. No. We're not flipping this script. Not today.
Just like Han Solo, Lindsay shoots first, all right?
All the time.
1,000%.
Not even true.
1,000%.
These guys, everybody in the chat trying to be like, oh, poor Lindsay. No. She does this to us all the time.
That's not true.
How many times I said cheese sucks and you're like, you have horrible food taste.
Hello's got my back. Lindsay throws Espo under the bus 3 times a week.
That's not true at all. You're really going to...
I got the skid marks to prove it.
No, that's not true at all. If anything, it's like once every other 2 weeks.
Every other 2 weeks. Oh, my gosh.
Half-Life Hero said I take back everything I said to defend you.
Hello, Lindsay bullies
She
me.
does bully Hello, even in the chat. He's not even here, and she's always going after him.
To be fair, Hello, you do push it out every once in a while. You do. We give you a lot of leeway. Anyway, back to Suns mailbag questions.
It's not her, it's you.
Psycho Blue said, now that we've seen DA's work in practice this summer, how much of what we saw in the Olympic qualifiers do you expect to carry over into the season? Same question for EG.
I would say a little bit, just in terms of like kind of maybe regaining some of that confidence that he had. I think he lost a little bit of that. I think at the end of the last year, with the Nuggets series and how, the questioning of his effort, him standing out of bounds, him not playing in game 6, like, I think that took a toll on him. And I think he saw what everybody has been saying, the fact that he keeps saying everybody hates him. So he feels some type of way. And I think he needed to go home and be in that situation. I think that, first of all, I think the Bahamas coming when it came could not have come at a better time for him, because I think he needed to do some soul searching. I think he needed to find himself a little bit, and going back home to his country where he feels comfortable. He's around people in the Bahamian culture that is very loving and embracing. I think he needed that. For lack of a better word, he needed some home cooking. He got some of that. He played well in their international play. So I think, hey, I hopefully that carries over here. I think it will to a certain degree, but listen, these things only last a bit of time. And if you don't see change within the organization you're in, you'll go right back to being disgruntled if you were disgruntled before. So it's completely up to Vogel and company to kind of change the culture of whatever was rough for DA a year ago. And I do believe, from a coaching perspective, I think DA will be in a better place, because I think he has people that will not feel like, well, you're not my guy, so I'm not gonna treat you the way I want to treat everybody else that is my guy, right? I think there was a little bit of Monty with that. Like, Monty felt like if you were not one of his guys, then he wasn't gonna treat you as great as he did the other guys, right? And I think he held it against certain players. Well, I don't think you're going to run into that this year. It's going to be completely on effort and how you perform. And hopefully DA can do that and be happy.
Okay, so we've already gotten into the larger conversation here. So we have another question that I'm going to add to this conversation. This one is from My Name is Fat Mike. He said, nobody really said anything about it, but in one of the FIBA interviews with the Bahamas, DA said something along the lines of, we support each other, we call each other out, but we do it the right way, the respectful way. And that seemed like it was maybe a shot at CP3 book, etc., and the culture of the previous Suns regime. Do you think that this is what he was implying? And do you think Vogel might change that culture so DA feels more supported when there's changes that need to happen on the fly?
100%.
Yes.
I don't think there's any doubt that the culture that was bred there Like Saul said, Monty was a player's coach if you were his player.
Yes.
If you were not in that inner circle, you were out in the cold. And I think DA was one of those guys that was out in the cold and never got the kind of attention and praise that I think he thrives on. But one thing, to the first question that I think DA brings into the season is the chip on his shoulder. We saw that every step of the way in this when he was talking to the media on social media, talking about, I get that none of you believe in me. He said it the other day after they won everything. He goes back to that, and I think he's going to use that as fuel this season. I think he's going to use the way Monty treated him and the distinct difference in the way Vogel treats him as fuel that you didn't believe in me. I'm going to prove this now. And I think that's what I'm most excited about is we talk about him sometimes being unmotivated. Well, one of the best ways to internally motivate yourself is to use that feeling of people not believing in you or the perception of hate and turning that into motivation to go out there and prove people wrong. And I think that's what he's going to do this year.
I think one of the other things about DA and Monty and all that stuff, I don't know about Book. I know Book. It's tough to talk about Book because of it felt like it was us versus them kind of divide in that team, Monty's guys versus non-Monty's guys, right? And so it's kind of hard to say if Book, approached him this way or that way. I know Book got on him several times in games, but that happens everywhere. I'm not worried about that part. I'm more worried about behind the scenes. Does Book ever talk to him? Do they ever talk to each other? And I just have this feeling like Book is always going to be that guy that's I don't give a fuck about the talk. I want to see it on the court, right? And I don't know how he handles that off the court, so I'm not even going to talk about it because it's not worth talking about. But Chris Paul, I would say Chris Paul probably just reaffirmed a lot of the things that were going on with Monty. And because, again, he was Monty's guy, and they had a lot of trust, and they had a lot of similarities between them. If you see the common theme between Chris Paul and all the other organizations that he's been a part of is that he always wears out his welcome. What happened with Monty when he was in New Orleans? He kind of wore out his welcome. Same thing. Got over here, kind of wore out his welcome. There's a repetition going on here with these two individuals, and you can look at that, and I don't think at the time we realized it, but maybe you could say that it was kind of a cancerous situation, and those two can have cancerous type tendencies. And I think that they both need to learn and grow from that. Chris Paul's come to the end of his career, so it doesn't matter. But I think in the terms of DA, he has an opportunity here because it's not going to be us versus them. It's going to be whatever you establish as what it is what it's going to be. If you come in and you don't put in work and you don't grind and you don't do the things that Book is doing, KD's doing, Bradley Beal's doing, you're going to get exposed. But if you do, they're going to embrace you and love you harder than you've ever been loved before. And that's what DA hopefully has learned over the course of this offseason is that there is no middle ground here. Not with these dudes. There is no middle ground. You have to be all in or get the fuck out. There is nothing in the middle.
And you know what I think Book, if he says anything, should be, you talked about us being Kobe and Shaq 2.0. I've done my best to try to reach that Kobe level. It's your turn. Go out there. And just lay it at his feet. Make it very simple. It's your turn. It's on you. Go out there and prove it.
I don't even know that Devin has to say anything or have any of those type of conversations with DA. And I don't know that they should either. I mean, if anything, at this point, Book and DA have had the conversations that they're going to have had throughout the time together. Let Frank Vogel be the guy who helps DA along and brings him in and creates that relationship. Let KD be that guy. I mean, we were already hearing within the first couple weeks of KD being on the Suns that he had a huge affinity for DA. He loved DA. Let those two guys be the one that kind of take over helping DA out and bringing him up even more and getting the best out of him. Completely remove Book from the situation unless there's something there within the relationship that's already established. But as far as trying something different or changing up the way that they're talked about or but amongst each other, I don't think you even have to.
I also think that there's this narrative about it's not a very widespread narrative among Suns fans, because I don't really feel like we all completely believe it, because it's kind of one of those things where we haven't seen it. But they've been together for 5 years.
A long
those
time.
two, Devin Booker and DA. And I know that they've had a good relationship. And I think sometimes from our perspective on the outside, things are not going right. Things are kind of falling apart. You look at Devin Booker and know that he's got that killer mentality. And you look at DA and he seems like he's an easy target because he's quote unquote soft, right? So it's easy to assume that, oh, Devin Booker doesn't like DA because they don't have the same kind of DNA.
Which I think is a stupid assumption
that's
to
a
make.
bad assumption to make, for sure. Not every NBA player that's ever played on a championship team has been the exact identical to the one next to him and all the way around. Pau Gasol and Kobe Bryant couldn't be further apart in terms of the DNA spec, and they were the best of friends. So like, I don't subscribe to that, and I don't believe that that's the case. I believe that those two genuinely like each other, and they got to find a way to win a championship. And I guarantee you, nobody's going to give a fuck about any of this if they do.
I think it's ridiculous too to create this idea that just because Book gets on DA during games, like Book gets on everybody during games.
Yeah.
It's kind of a rotational thing. Everybody gets on everybody.
Book yelled at me
It's the heat of the moment. Like it's totally normal. But that just because that happens occasionally, that Book and DA aren't buddies, they don't see eye to eye, that because they're not the exact same as far as their mentality goes, means that there's issues there. I think that is a crazy reach. That shouldn't be made at all.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, but there have been plenty of players who disliked each other that go out and win championships because on the court it works. The guy I think that always has to be working to keep harmony in a locker room is the head coach.
Yes.
Rarely, if ever, do you see a team that hates their head coach go out and accomplish anything, because that's supposed to be the guy that is the voice that everybody's supposed to listen to, is supposed to lead in the locker room and try to galvanize things. And if you've got a head coach that is creating the division in your locker room, you're never going to bring a team together completely. And Frank Vogel is the guy I think that can be that voice, he doesn't always have to be positive, but he has to make it very clear, we're in this together. And I don't feel like at times Monty Williams had the message of we're in this together. It was, these guys are doing their job, these guys aren't. Mm-hmm. And you just can't have a fractured locker room like that. That's how you get two game deciding games, game 6 or game 7 that are multiple point blowouts, because you fractured a team at times. And when it's time to come together and will yourself to a victory or power past what the odds say you can do, you have to be a cohesive group. And that falls on the head coach 100%.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, and then on the other side too, if you want to, this might be a little bit of a stretch, but I think DA playing with Team Bahamas, he had fun again. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like he felt like he could be vocal with those guys. Like he was showing leadership tendencies. Obviously, they were having a blast. You saw it after they beat Argentina on Sunday in the post-game locker room stuff. And the way that he spoke about that team, he was having fun again. Mm-hmm. And that might just be a simple reminder that like you have a clean slate, basically, with this new regime, a completely, for the most part, brand new set of teammates, a whole new coaching staff. Like you can have fun playing basketball again in Phoenix. You just have to lean into it. Yep. Yeah, it's really as simple as that.
Everything we've heard too, Bradley Beal is one of those guys in the locker room that if he can sense a guy is having problems, whether it's on the court or in life, he goes and reaches out. And I think that's important too, to feel like, you've got some guys in there that care beyond the game. So Bradley Beal could be a great glue guy in that way as well.
And then from a social media perspective, DA just needs to get himself some shady rays and block out all the haters. Don't read the comments, DA. Just live your best life. Have fun playing basketball. Go out there, change the narrative, and make sure you're looking good in your shady rays while you're doing it.
He should get multiple pairs.
You can get multiple pairs. They are built to last. We are talking about premium polarized sunglasses. They are an independent sunglass company with a world-class product, just as good as the expensive ones, but much more affordable, and even more affordable when you use the code PHNX. Exclusively for you guys, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. So go to shadyrays.com. Use code PHNX for 50% off 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Also, we have to thank our friends over at Illegal Pete's for delivering us lunch yesterday. It was an absolute treat to have Illegal Pete's bring us lunch. And Illegal Pete's, it's your go-to spot this summer. So stop by for happy hour. It's 3 to 8 p.m. every single day at all 12 locations. Illegal Pete's, the go-to spot for burritos, buddies, and beer. And they have been for 28 years. All right, couple more here. Abolition is Love said, is there a chance in hell Mikal Bridges ever comes back to Phoenix? His contract is up the same year as KD's is, who I think will be 38 by then, and Bridges in his prime. Or is that just wishful thinking on my part?
Listen, folks, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I will be. There is 0%, and I do mean 0% chance that Mikal Bridges is coming back to Phoenix because of one significant reason. He is going to probably put himself in a position to get the supermax at some point, and that takes the Suns out of the equation unless they magically find a whole ton of other draft picks to be able to send their way. Like, it's just not going to happen. Like, Mikal Bridges is going to be a valuable asset. He's probably going to make an all-star game this year because he's on the East Coast, and there's just not – he's just going to have a great opportunity to do that, and he's in Brooklyn. And, like, yeah, there's just no way he's coming back. We would all love for him to come back.
I'm going to go –
love for him to come back, but
I'm going to go positive here. Like Zona in Arizona said, Matt Ishbia can afford anything.
It's not about what you can afford.
All them dollars. Come on, Mikal Bridges.
It's 2029. How the hell should I know? If you had told me 6 years ago in 2017 that KD and Bradley Beal would be Phoenix Suns, I would have told you were smoking something. If you had told me it 3 years ago, I probably would have told you were smoking something. Hell, I told you at the trade deadline, I thought you were smoking something that you'd be able to pull off a KD deal before the deadline. So how the hell should I know what happens in 2029? I don't.
That's true, but dreaming is free, so I'm going to continue to think that it might happen. The PHNXSuns.com said you have 2 teleportation devices to journey anywhere in Suns history. Where do you place them and why?
This is easy for me.
This is Espo's wheelhouse.
Hold on. Can we, before we go to that, can we answer this question real quick about Mikal before we move on?
Sure.
All right. So Eric Ripley said, or he has a statement. He says, Mikal will not get a supermax. He's not one of the 6 best wings in the league. I love Mikal, but that's an awful take. Do you think he's not one of the best 6 wings in the league?
I mean, I would have to go down a whole list, but I would put him pretty high up there. I think he's going to continue to get better and better and better. And by the end of this contract, which is a team-friendly deal, I feel like Mikal is going to get some money.
I mean, you're talking about an all-defensive player coupled with averaging, what did he average, 27 a game for the Brooklyn Nets? If he does that, how is he not a top 6 wing in the league? But he can play both ends. He could be all NBA on defense and on the regular team. Like,
yeah, I don't see, and it's not like he has to get it. It's not he's getting it today. We're projecting years in the future, which if you look at his trajectory, it would make sense that he would be there.
He's gonna get better.
Yeah, I mean, especially Brooklyn seems pretty committed to making him, if not 1A, 1B on that roster. So you'll see major growth there from him. I don't think that's an insane take, and I'm not one shy from telling Saul that he has a bad day.
Well, last year was when we started to really see him take off. Now you got to give him some time to really lean into it and figure it completely out.
I don't think he's a supermax right now, but I think you give him a year or two, he's going to be right there in that conversation. I absolutely believe that for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so back to the teleportation question. From the PHNXSuns.com, you have 2 teleportation devices to journey anywhere in Suns history. Where do you place them and why?
I placed one at the Boston Garden in 1976, so I can go see the triple overtime game and the shot heard around the world, which is considered one of the greatest highlights in NBA history, and it was done by Gar Hurd for the Phoenix Suns in that NBA Finals game. I know they wound up losing, but the stories that Al McCoy told me about that and just the insanity of that building. The Celtics at one point, one of the overtimes, think they win. All the fans rush the court. They say, no, you didn't win. They got to get everybody off. The Paul Westphal, leading up to the shot heard around the world, realized the Suns had the ball, but it was under the Celtics basket. They were down 1, but he knew if he took a timeout that they didn't have, the Celtics would get a technical free throw, but they could advance the ball to half court. So without that heady play, we never get the greatest, one of the greatest shots in NBA history. Just being around that, I think, would have been fascinating and not something I ever got to experience on TV, let alone in person in my life. And then the other one, I would love to go back to Game 2 of the 2021 NBA Finals. That was when my family scraped together a bunch of money, bought me a ticket in the last row, but it was otherworldly to be there, see a win. If I could forget what happened too when I went through that door and just experience they're up 2-0 in the finals without knowing the backdoor sweep was coming, I would enjoy that a lot. So,
man, it's really hard to pinpoint.
I have one.
Two. Go ahead.
I've got one, and it's the Valley Oop game. I just remember, so that whole entire moment in Suns history was super fun to be a part of, like as an adult, because then you actually remember more things about it. Like it was just so cool to see the whole city, the whole state, and then even beyond the state, just find their love again for Suns basketball. And that Valley Oop game, I got to go to it, and it was absolute insanity. And I would relive that over and over again. That would be a blast.
Interesting. I would probably go to Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals in 1993, when Barkley had fucking, 44 and 24 or something like that. Like, it was one of the most epic performances you're ever going to see in a championship game.
Eddie had a hell of a game.
Yeah, he had like 33. He had 33 in that game. So I would love to be there so I could talk shit to Eddie. And then the other one, I would probably, man, it's got to be a 7 seconds or less game. Honestly, it's obscure as shit. It would be, I think it's 2007, Steve Nash triple overtime game in New Jersey.
Jason Kidd, right?
Yes. Oh. And he hits this fadeaway 3 off balance to win it. And that was like one of the funnest basketball games I've ever watched. I think the final score was like 152 to 149 or something like that. It was insane. But just to watch two of the greatest point guards go head to head against each other and the plays that were made in that game, I would love to have been there.
I love that game too. That's a great call.
All right, Miscellaneous Thoughts said, what's your favorite sitcom theme song and which Suns player goes with it?
So
okay. We came up with a few of these before the show because we had to put some thought behind this answer.
And it was fun to sit there and realize Lindsay doesn't know any sitcom theme songs. So we had to look them all up. But I think, should I go with the slander one first?
Just, get it out of the way.
Okay. So for me, KD would be the Scrubs theme song. I loved it. It's the I can't do this on my own. I'm no Superman is the main line in it. And, we know KD's MO, so he's here with another super team. So
mine for KD is What We Do in the Shadows. And the theme song doesn't exactly fit, but just because, Slim Reaper, whatever. It's dark and eerie. I'm going to go with that. There were some other ones that were really good, though. And Espo, I feel like you should sing these. So sing the Friends song, and then we'll name the player.
I'll be there for you.
That's the
when
Devin
the rain
Booker.
starts to fall.
That's Devin Booker. He's always there for us.
Oh,
and he has been for a while, and we love him for that. Okay, sing the New Girl one.
Oh, why am I blanking?
Who's that girl?
Who's that?
I guess that one doesn't really work. But New Girl, we're going with Bradley Beal because he's the new boy.
Who's that guy?
He's the new boy in town.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, you have to sing this one.
Saul's loving
Saul,
this.
you know this one. The show is called Big Mouth. I've never heard of it, but the theme song is "I'm Going Through Changes."
I don't know that song.
You know the song, right?
I don't.
I haven't watched Big Mouth.
I'm
enough.
going through changes.
Yeah.
Come on,
Good job, Shay.
You've
Thank
heard
you.
that
There
song.
we go. Thanks, Shay.
It's DeAndre, and because DA is going through changes this year, he's changing the narrative. It's going to be a great year
Those
for
are not
DA.
the changes Big Mouth is referring to.
Well, that's what I went with. And then the George Lopez show, the Lowrider
The
song.
Low Rider.
That's for book 2.
For book 2.
Yeah.
Everything's about book.
We had 2 for book.
Okay.
And we had 2 for KD.
Cool.
And we had Bradley Beal and DA.
Awesome.
And I think that was it, right?
Cool. I have 2.
What's yours?
I would go with the "What's Happening" theme song for DA.
What's that?
It kind of goes like. Dun, 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 dun. Anyway, there's no words to it. It's just a theme. And then
Yeah, why?
because it's just like kind of like goofy and kind of like
Okay.
up and down. You just, whatever. And then Silver Spoon's theme song for Matt Ishbia. There you go.
What
There
is
you go.
that?
Silver spoons. Oh, here we are, face to face, a couple of silver spoons. I forgot the rest of it. But
Jason
anyway.
Bateman in that show.
Yeah, it was also crazy Ricky Schroeder.
Oh yeah.
And then my last one will be the Martin Lawrence theme song.
You have to say, I don't know any
yeah,
songs.
you
You have
fat
to, if you
chance.
don't sing it, I'm not going to know.
Martin.
Yeah. Anyway, it's just that's a crazy funny show. So that one would go to JaVale McGee because he's kind of a crazy funny guy.
Oh, now he's on the roster. We're just including
Does it
him.
have to? Well, I mean,
I was guessing it was just this roster. I was like, wait, hold on.
I didn't
JaVale
know.
McGee.
I didn't know it couldn't
That's fine, it
pertain to any
works.
former Suns.
That works.
For me, I think the Golden Girls. Thank you for being
Oh,
a
yeah,
friend.
that's a good one.
Matt Ishbia, because he fucking saved our asses from whatever the hell we were living in the last 18 years.
Who else? I mean, that one could work for a lot of people too. The thank you for being a friend one. That
Yeah.
one works. Okay, Sundress Punk said if each of you could interview one player from NBA history or current, but you had to hit them in the head with a microphone, who would you choose?
Oh, man, this is a tough one. It's one of 2 guys.
Okay.
One of them used to play for the Suns last year, but he does not.
Really?
And then, I'm not going to say his name. You all know who it is.
Don't.
The other one, I don't know why, and I do apologize. Let me say this up front. Iman Shumpert.
No.
I don't know why I had this strong distaste for Iman Shumpert when he was playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I just always was like, I don't like that guy.
Why?
Like, I think he's just like co-writing LeBron.
Wasn't he on
and
Dancing
like,
with the Stars too?
yeah, he was.
He
He's
was
actually
great
a really
on
cool
Dancing with the
dude.
Stars.
He's like a really cool dude. Like, and if I ever met him, I'd probably be like, dude, I'm a dick. I'm sorry. You don't even know who I am. It doesn't matter. I just felt like I needed to apologize to you. But yeah, it would have been Iman Shumpert.
Okay.
Either John Paxson or Mario Ellie. And I think it's self-explanatory. I wouldn't even want to interview. I just want to hit him with a mic.
But the problem is, my problem with John Paxson, okay? Yes, he robbed us of a championship.
Mhm.
But is John Paxson worse than Robert Horry?
Okay, look, in
It's
the past,
Like,
It's
and
really
Mario
hard.
Ellie, those two, Mario Ellie, let me just say, Mario Ellie and Robert Horry, the way their mannerisms were, like Paxson hit the shot, ran to the sideline, that was it, right?
Yeah.
These 2 guys gave the fucking kiss of death. They fucking shoved Nash into the fucking stands. Like, fuck those
yeah,
2.
but you 2 screwed that up for me because now I feel sorry
Same.
for
I was
Robert
gonna
Horry
say,
after your damn interview with him, so I can't hate him anymore.
After talking to Robert Horry, it's impossible to hate him anymore. He's so sweet.
and he was going
And he
through
was
so
going
much.
through
like,
the
so,
thick of it at that moment. You
Well,
can't.
no. He was going through the thick of it when he was a Son. I
Yes.
don't hold that against him.
Okay, but
When
that's
he was
gonna
with the
hold
Spurs-
certain things, and you're gonna
Steve-
feel some type of way
Steve
playing
Nash
against
had
that
nothing
team.
to do with that.
No, but I could see how the emotions would be heightened.
Really? After
Yes.
7 games, now you still want to feel this way?
I
Like,
little
no.
bit.
No, look, okay. I can't because of that. But the Morris twins, the Morai, somebody said in there, and hell yeah, I agree.
I'm just gonna take a low hanging fruit one here and say Luca. A little bonk on the head, like nothing too hard,
Why didn't
just
you
a
just-
little bonk.
Why didn't you say Kelly Oubre since you already did it?
Because I already did it. I'm going to do it twice. I'll pick a new person this time. All I know is our friends over at Pins and Aces, they got really dope stuff. And if you have not checked them out, you absolutely should check them out. Pins and Aces is the official golf apparel partner of PHNX and ALLCITY. They have polos, they have hats, they have golf bags, they have beanies, you guys. And you can check out pinsandaces.com and use that code PHNX to receive 15% off your first order and get free shipping. That's pinsandaces.com. Okay.
Hello said Lindsay wasn't talking like this when Pat Bev shoved DA. LOL.
See, what do you mean? Was I being nicer to Pat Bev or meaner to Pat Bev?
You're being meaner.
I was being meaner. Yeah, but after Pat Bev said nice things about Book, I'm not mad at him as much right now. See, that's the thing. I got to be mad at you in the moment to really want to like take out some frustration at you.
So what did Kelly Oubre do to you?
To be fair, Kelly hit his chin on my mic, not the other way around. I'm just kidding. I definitely did that. But that one was a full-on accident.
She was like, bonk.
Boink. Anyway, back to our, let's round out with a few more questions here. My name is Fat Mike said, what's the best kind of hot dog?
None. They're all trash.
The correct answer is a Sonoran hot dog.
Sonoran hot dogs go crazy.
Yes.
Ted's hot dog.
What's
off the
a
grill.
Ted's hot dog?
Ted's hot dogs?
His
Never
friend-
been to-
Yeah,
friend
in
Ted.
Tempe?
in Tempe.
No.
Oh my God. Like that's
From
the best
Buffalo.
hot dogs.
From Buffalo.
Oh,
Ted's hot dogs. Best right off the grill. Everything on it. Money.
okay.
Okay, that's an all beef hot dog. I'll give you that. Like generic hot dog that they can put anything in that. No.
Hot dogs are delicious.
Hot
No.
dogs go
You guys-
hard.
You see
When
the
you're
report that they
craving a
take
hot
like
dog,
35 minutes off your life.
Nothing
everyone you eat.
hits the same
Everything
way
does,
as when you're
Espo.
craving a hot dog and you get a hot dog.
You really are going to sit there in all honesty and sit there and think that hot dogs are taking time off your life, but those fucking chicken wings or those chips or the Coke or any of that stuff isn't?
Listen,
I'm
we're
not
all going to
saying it
die
isn't.
one day.
I'm just using something that helps my argument.
Have you guys
If
ever?
we were arguing about those things, I'd use the same argument.
We're all going to die one day. You
Did
may
you
as well
guys-
live
True.
the
Did
best
you
life
guys
you
ever
can.
used to eat the hot dogs that were fully cooked that you refrigerate without cooking them?
Yes.
Dude, oh my
Mm.
God.
Yes.
I used to gobble those
Yep.
glizzies when I was a child.
Yep.
Did you ever eat the ones with the cheese inserted in the middle?
No.
You ever have
I
those
feel
as a
like I
kid?
did, and they
always
were
hurt my-
gross.
They
hurt my
were.
stomach.
They were
yeah.
real gross. Those I cannot get
I
on
saw
board with.
marshmallows the other day at the store that had chocolate already inside of them.
Yes.
Might be a
I mean, those will
Mm.
take
Could
be
time
the
off my
move.
life, but good stuff.
Chris C. said, what is the biggest / strongest animal you believe you can beat in a barehanded fight?
A sloth.
No. There's
That's
a right
all I
answer
got.
to this.
See, this one made me feel bad as I was thinking about it because I was like, I'm just over here envisioning myself beating up an animal and I feel bad.
I don't know, man. I'm afraid of animals.
I feel like I could do a small to medium sized dog.
The correct answer is a cow.
That's
No,
not
it
true.
is
I don't
not.
think you
Yes, it
could.
is.
I don't think you could.
I'm choking out a cow. I'm
Bro.
hopping on it and I'm putting it in a headlock.
You
and then-
can't choke out a cow.
Oh, the hell I can't.
The cow's gonna buck you off the same way a horse would.
Cow's ain't.
It's
Yeah.
got 4 legs, bro.
Bro,
Just
I
wait.
can tip it over.
Wait till it's
Only when
sleep,
it's
push it
sleeping?
over.
Yeah, I'll wait till it's sleeping. I'll tip it over
Did
and
you-
I'll put it in an arm trunk.
Did
Y'all
you hear about that
tripping.
guy that rescued a hippo, a baby hippo from the river and nurtured it for 6 years and then the hippo dragged him to the river and ate him?
I believe that.
Yeah.
I fully
What?
believe that.
What
Well,
kind
did
of
you
person?
know? Did you
Hippos
know
are insane.
the hippopotamus is one of the only animals, if not the only animal, that will kill a human and not eat it?
It just kills to kill. Hippos
Look.
are literally insane. They just want to, they're little murder machines that are cute.
I'm sorry,
Cute
but
little murder machines.
like what? Who in their right mind goes, baby hippo? I can tame that and raise it. Like, no,
'Cause
that's just
They're
stupid.
cute AF, Espo.
Yeah, I don't care. How much Hungry Hippos did you play that you thought, oh, this thing's going to be, I'm going to be able to be around this. It'll be, no, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I would say the one thing that I know I could probably beat no matter what, no matter the size until they got to about 30 pounds is probably a cat.
Declawed, maybe. I don't
I
want
feel
to
like-
screw with a cat
like
with
house
claws.
cats, you could probably, but like wild cats, I think that they would give you a run for your money.
Maybe.
Not like
I'm still
street
taking down a
cats. I'm
cow.
talking like we're talking like bobcat and up style cats. What I meant, not
Yeah,
just
yeah.
street.
No,
cats.
I know.
Yeah, okay, just want to make sure. And then the last
Wait,
question.
we just glazed over the fact that Lindsay wants to beat up dogs.
Well, I was just thinking animals that are
because
smaller.
I want to beat up cats, so it's all good.
Yeah. We're going to glaze over the fact that Saul wants to beat up
Let's
cats?
pick on Lindsay Day. I was just trying to jump in on the fun.
Oh, sorry.
No, Shane, you're not allowed to. Okay, last question. Chef Miami Vice said, cooking skills aside, what is your favorite or signature dish you like to make for your loved ones? Theirs is buffalo chicken mac and cheese, and it's a favorite for the NFL season for them.
Ooh.
This is hard because I suck at cooking.
Yeah, we were just talking about this yesterday.
I don't know if I suck at cooking or if I just hate it. So
I both
don't learn how
suck
to.
at it.
I both.
I both.
I like to try a variety of different dishes. Like I honestly, once the pandemic hit, like I really got into cooking because I was like, where else am I gonna go? So I would probably say there's like a scallop dish that I make with pasta, and it goes pretty hard. And
Scallops are so hard. They're
What do you
so
mean?
hard to make. Like
What?
to make
To cook 'em,
perfectly?
right?
Yeah.
like seafood scallops?
Yeah, they can get
Bro,
real
what?
rubbery
Yeah, because you
real
got to
fast.
sear them like gently without overdoing
I
it,
have
right?
never had a problem, but maybe I'm not just that good. I don't know.
Maybe you're just a natural at cooking
maybe.
scallops.
Like the process is simple, but to get them perfect is really hard.
Oh.
I think,
I need to try scallops now.
yeah,
'cause they
we
might be
should bring
mid.
in scallops tomorrow.
They might be mid.
Bring us scallops tomorrow, Saul.
I don't think you want me traveling with scallops from the
Mm.
Just
East
bring in like a
Valley.
hot plate
Mm.
and cook on that.
Lindsay, you always want me to fucking make some goddamn effort to cook some food. I did that. I'm done. Never again.
I make a mean Kraft mac and cheese that Ro loves. So that some Dino Nuggies, I'm good there. So
Grilled cheese.
I would like to think
I'm
I
not
was
a
good
bread
at
guy.
cheese,
I'm not
but
a
I'm
cheese
not.
guy, but I will make the absolute F out of some grilled cheese.
Okay, so if I
Put a little
were
cheese on the pan, then throw the bread on top. You got crust on both sides and cheese on both sides.
that sounds bomb.
Let's go.
Make us some
hold on,
grilled
you're not a
cheese,
bread
Saul.
or cheese. How? I'm so
This
confused.
is, that is,
I'm thinking
that
about
is
you guys.
mind-blowing.
Okay?
Oh, you
No,
can make me
no. That does bring up a really good question. Do you like grilled cheese?
I do.
So then
With
how,
tomato. With tomato.
So that
soup.
blows my
Dude,
mind
that
because
is
Saul hates bread, is on
genuinely the
record
best thing
hating
ever.
bread and hating cheese, but you love grilled cheese, which
that's
is
crazy.
bread and cheese.
That's crazy.
That's wild.
Sorry,
You
guys.
broke
Okay.
my brain.
That's
Sorry, guys.
worse. Whatever. I think I would go with breakfast because I feel like I actually can make a good breakfast.
Like what?
Like I can do the basics, right?
I want,
Bacon,
I want breakfast at
eggs,
Lindsay's house now.
Toast, pancakes, waffles. I feel like I
You can
make
make
a
pancakes?
mean, yeah. I feel like I make a mean breakfast bagel. Like
Ooh.
for me personally, it's the best breakfast bagel I've ever had. I don't know how everyone else feels about it, but I love it. So I feel like I would go with breakfast because I feel like it's
You know what that
breakfast is
is?
really hard to mess up.
You know what a breakfast bagel is? The perfect thing to bring in for your coworkers.
Yes.
Mhm.
Little
Mhm.
tin foil wrap
It travels
around
well.
it. Bring
Yeah,
it in.
sure is.
It doesn't because on my breakfast bagel, the egg has to be a little bit runny.
That's fine.
So if it's runny, it doesn't travel well.
There's some good comments in the chat. Jose up earlier said that he makes a good pork chop with mushroom gravy and mashed potatoes.
Mm.
Keeps
Mashed
it simple.
potatoes.
He said mashed potatoes, but mashed
Sounds
potatoes.
good.
And then Zone in Arizona says, my mom says I make the best bowl of cereal.
I almost picked bowl of
Yeah,
cereal.
yeah.
Okay, then the last thing. This one is debatable because I've heard for people I've made it for, some people like it and some people don't. But it's cornbread pizza. So you take OG Jiffy cornbread or whatever it's called, the little blue box that's like
Mhm.
50 cents. You bake it in more like a cake sheet. You bake it halfway, and then once it's mostly done where the top is hard enough, you put all your pizza toppings. So you do like the tomato sauce, cheese, you could add ground beef, you could add mushrooms, peppers, whatever it is that you want on your pizza. And then you put it back in there to finish baking until everything's crispy and the cornbread is a little bit crispy on the sides. I think it's delightful, but it's had a 50-50 reaction for the people I've made it for.
As an Italian, I'm disgustingly intrigued.
Again,
If you love cornbread, you would like it.
sounds like something that you could make and then bring it in a casserole pan.
Uh-huh.
And everybody would enjoy. Lindsay.
I'm just saying.
And then we can actually rate it. I think that's fair.
I think that's fair.
Dreaming is free.
Oh my gosh. Come on.
Chat, you need to tweet at her to make sure this happens.
Please.
Get us some cornbread pizza, damn it.
Lindsay, where can they tweet at you?
At Lindsay Smith AZ. Saul, where can they tweet at you?
At Saul_Bookman with
Espo,
all
where
your
can
recipes.
they tweet at you?
At Espo.
We do have one super chat before we say goodbye. Said, which Suns newcomer, whether it was through trade or free agency, made an immediate impact that you did not see coming? Mine was Gerald Green. Oh, are you just talking in generals?
Just in general, yeah.
Goran Dragic when he came back.
I don't know. I'd have to do some thoughts.
I would say Steve Nash when he came back. I did
Steve
not
Nash?
expect two MVPs. I did not expect us to go from one of the, a mid franchise to one of the best, and historically one of the best of all time. Like, yeah, Steve Nash.
I feel like we kind of saw this one coming, but I am glad that it happened. Ricky Rubio, because I feel like Ricky Rubio is what really allowed a lot of people to really see what Book was made of. And then that ended up getting us Chris Paul and to where we are now.
Aaron Baines was elite. Lou Amundsen.
Ponytail. Lose ponytail. All right.
Okay, we're going to go now. You can follow the show on Twitter at PHNX_Suns. And of course, don't forget to meet us right back here tomorrow at 3 p.m. for the next show. Espo, take us home.
Me cook a mean cookie. Hoy hoy.
Hey yo, my lifestyle is retro. Tell the Phoenix Metro. Megas in control and he ain't never gonna let go. PHNX though, Lindsey, Gerald, Espo. Saw past the ball, we here to turn up the tempo. Got to understand me, I'll always rep the family. Rally in the valley like Dan G, no plan B. Always on the job, my team.